To begin with, it's wrong for you to secretly save money, isn't it? Besides, it's money earned by both of us, so there's no problem.
Exactly. It's wrong for you to save money secretly. Tom and my mother-in-law blamed me without restraint. With an exasperated look, I calmly asked Tom and my mother-in-law, "You might have used the money, but did you check whose name is on the bank account?"
Huh? No. Why should I?
My name is Emily, a 42-year-old housewife. I married Tom 17 years ago and left my company at the same time. Even after leaving the company, I worked part-time at a local supermarket while being a full-time housewife. I fell for Tom's kindness and started dating him. It's what you'd call a workplace romance. About half a year after we got married, Tom's attitude suddenly changed. One evening, without any warning, my mother-in-law came to our house. I was preparing dinner at that time. Tom was away on business. Thinking he might have an urgent matter, I invited her into the living room to avoid any inconvenience. As soon as my mother-in-law entered the living room, she let out a deep sigh. "Emily, my son Tom is still working hard, right? And yet you are just casually watching TV. Don't you feel any shame?" "Huh? Well, no. Up until a short while ago, I was preparing dinner with the TV on. This time in the evening might seem relaxing, but I've been busy cleaning and doing laundry since morning, going to my part-time job in the afternoon, finishing shopping, and preparing dinner." I was about to say, "Yes, I do," but I believe I've been doing my best with household chores. Nevertheless, my mother-in-law just barged into the kitchen and started complaining about the dinner. "Emily, is this today's dinner? Don't you think it's too little considering how hard Tom is working?" "Today's dinner is pizza and salad. The salad is being chilled in the fridge." "Has Tom always had such a light dinner? Is this the usual meal in your family?" Feeling insulted not just for myself, but also on behalf of my parents, I asked a bit angrily, "Why did you come today?" My mother-in-law feigned surprise and said, "Oh my, so scary. I just came to see how you two are doing." And then she settled down comfortably on the sofa to watch TV. "Really? Is that so?" "It's not about is that so. Don't you even offer a cup of tea to your guests in this house?" Sorry, I didn't notice." "You really lack consideration. I feel so sorry for Tom." Holding back my anger, I reluctantly served her some tea. However, she said, "This doesn't seem like a very expensive tea," and even nitpicked about that. Back then, I was young and thought I should avoid conflicts with my mother-in-law, so I endured it. But perhaps because I didn't retort, she started visiting our house frequently and kept nagging me about meals or housekeeping. Being constantly criticized every time she dropped in without notice, I finally couldn't stand it and complained to my husband. "Hey, can you please ask your mother to reduce her visits?"
Why? Why can't my mother come to her son's house?
"You should know, right? Every time she comes, she nags me about meals and housework."
It might sound like nagging to you, but she's just concerned about you.
"I like to think so too, but when she comes unexpectedly, I also have to prepare dinner for her."
Then just tell her yourself that it's inconvenient. She's probably just worried about her son.
My husband always seemed to think that I wasn't seriously troubled by the situation. No matter how much I innovated with my cooking or cleaned perfectly, my mother-in-law would always find something to nitpick about, and never praised me. One day at dinner, I served vegetables that she had kindly brought, even though I knew they were nearing their expiration date. Upon noticing, she remarked, "So, the daughter-in-law of this house serves her husband and his mother vegetables that are about to expire." I became convinced that she was visiting our home just to torment me. Due to the severity of her bullying, I confided in my father-in-law. I hinted at how her sudden visits during dinner without any specific purpose were causing a lot of inconvenience in meal preparations. My father-in-law, seemingly unaware of his wife's troublesome visits, showed his fume.
Emily, I'm on your side. I believed her when she said she was dining out with friends.
Please, father-in-law, it's not your fault.
I did find it strange that she was going out frequently recently. I also gave her money for her meals. Haven't you received any?
No, I haven't.
She's wronged you, Emily.
He kept repeating sorry over and over. My father-in-law promised to firmly address the matter with my mother-in-law, so I chose not to bring up her nitpicking. Just when I thought I could breathe a sigh of relief, I received a scolding call from my mother-in-law. Yes, this is Emily. Emily, I heard from my son. What upbringing did you have to come to our house and complain? Ah, yes. I came over for both of your benefits. I never imagined you'd repay kindness with spite. I never intended it to come across that way. If you were sincere, you'd be dutiful. I'm visiting your house for educational purposes, so why don't you thank me? I appreciate that, but your sudden visits are inconvenient. Can you please notify us in advance? Excuse me? Since when does a mother need permission to visit her son's house? My parents wouldn't do such a thing. That's beyond the pale. Once you marry, it's only natural to follow your husband's family's rules. The argument escalated from there, with the mother-in-law shouting angrily until she abruptly hung up the phone. Likely she called when the father-in-law wasn't around, making another consultation with him seem futile. Perhaps due to the confrontation, her visits slightly decreased. My husband vents his work frustrations to his mother, who consoles him, so it seems impossible to ask him for help. Consequently, the mother-in-law became more assertive, eventually colluding with him, and I end up being treated as the villain.
Emily, you should show respect to my mother.
Exactly, Tom. It's good to hear that from you, too.
Even though I earn more, I get less pocket money.
Emily is such a terrible wife, a real shrew. While continuing to criticize the meal I prepared, they enjoyed their conversation in the living room. As I was washing dishes, my husband asked,
Can you also prepare the bath?
Even requesting everything from a bath towel to pajamas. In response, rather than criticizing him, the mother-in-law sympathized, saying, It must be hard to be with such an inconsiderate wife. Out of options, I consulted the father-in-law again. While I received another understanding, the mother-in-law's attitude didn't change, leaving me feeling helpless. One day, amidst my growing frustrations, I noticed a precious necklace, handed down from my mother, was missing from my drawer. When I asked Tom, he coldly remarked,
Don't know. Did you forget where you put it?
I was sure I left it in the drawer. The incident occurred when the mother-in-law, as usual, arrived around dinner time. Mother-in-law, the necklace you're wearing right now. What? What about the necklace I'm wearing? Do you want it? The necklace the mother-in-law was wearing was unmistakably the one I had lost. She wore it openly, as if flaunting it to me. It's a necklace with a distinctive design that you don't often see. Mother-in-law, that necklace is mine. Can you please give it back? Huh? Are you accusing me of stealing the necklace? Treating me like a criminal? That's why I hate people with poor upbringing. I finally reached my breaking point and reached out for the mother-in-law's necklace. Then she let out a deliberate scream, and unfortunately my husband, who came home earlier than usual, opened the door and pushed me away immediately. Propelled by the force, I hit the wall hard and slumped down. My husband, while holding his mother's shoulders, looked down on me and hurled harsh words.
Is what Mom said true? Were you bullying her while I was away?
Tom, yes. I just wanted to get along, but Emily... Tom, please calm down and listen. The necklace I told you I lost before. She's wearing it now.
That just sounds like an excuse. Mom, let's eat out today. Just the two of us. You, reflect on your actions here.
Thank you, Tom. My son is always so kind. After making such a rude remark, my husband and his mother left to dine out. At that moment, not only was I upset about the stolen necklace, but also by the fact that my husband was taking his mother's side without hearing my side of the story. I decided to set things straight, once and for all. That night, I reported everything to my father-in-law. He sided with me and listened to my story sincerely. In fact, he had been fed up with my mother-in-law's selfish behavior for a long time. After hearing this, I came up with a plan. The next time my mother-in-law visits our house, the opportunity finally came. As usual, she flaunted the necklace and seemed to enjoy my reaction. I intentionally asked, "I'd like to go shopping. Can you watch the house for a while?" Normally, she would retort with, "What are you making me do?" But this time she smiled and said, "Of course, go ahead. Why don't you take some time to relax? You're always busy with household chores." "Then I'll take you up on that offer and be back. I'll return in about 30 minutes. I replied with a smile and headed out. Feeling my heart pounding, I killed time in the supermarket parking lot. I reassured myself that this was the moment to obtain crucial evidence for my revenge and tried to calm down. But at the same time, I hoped that my mother-in-law and husband would reflect on their actions and change. I returned home as promised after spending 30 minutes. When I came back from shopping and opened the front door, my husband and mother-in-law were happily having dinner in the living room.
"Emily, you're back. You took so long, so we finished dinner without you."
Emily, today there were fewer dishes than usual. It was hard on Mom.
"Oh, really? I went shopping after asking your mother to watch the house."
No excuses. Do better next time.
Seeing my husband behave more selfishly because of the presence of his mother, I couldn't help but sigh. Seeing the leftover vegetable-only hot pot they left for me, I felt anger and disbelief that they didn't even save a portion for me. I despaired, thinking there would be no day when my husband or mother-in-law would reflect on their actions. After dinner, I cleaned up, waited for my mother-in-law to leave, and verified that my revenge plan was progressing well. The revenge plan seemed to be going smoothly. While I was pleased, I found my husband's mocking smile more and more repulsive. His triumphant grin resembled the mother-in-law's showy display of the necklace, and I laughed, thinking, like mother, like son. Then, sooner than I expected, the day of revenge came. On their day off from work, my husband and mother-in-law called me to the living room. Wondering what was happening, I faced the two of them and sat on the sofa. Both seemed to be in high spirits.
Emily, why have you been silent about this?
What are you talking about?
"The bank deposit. If you had that much savings, you could have told us."
Now I can finally repay my mother for her kindness.
What's wrong with a bank deposit?
"It's about your savings. There's no need to hide it anymore."
Ah, about the savings. The two of them, without doubting my composed attitude, cheerfully spread the estimate for her house on the table.
Actually, just a while ago, Mom, Dad, you, and I signed a contract for a new 2-family house.
You signed a contract? I don't understand why.
"Don't you get it? We made a contract for a new house with the money you saved."
If we buy it one lump sum, we won't have to take out a loan. It's convenient, right?
Wait, why did you sign a contract without consulting me?
"Don't you want a 2-family house? Is it because you hate me, Emily?"
Hey, Emily, cut it out. That's rude to say to my mother.
From my perspective, using someone's bank deposit without their permission is much ruder, like you guys.
Using the term "you guys"? You really have a sharp tongue. This is why I dislike people with poor upbringing.
Seeing the two of them making such selfish comments, I had to desperately hold back my laughter. While I thought I had become a terrible person seeking revenge like this, I shouldn't forget that these two were the reasons.
"It's too late to say anything now. We found and contracted a new, ready-built house for 2 families.
First of all, it's your fault for secretly saving money. Besides, both of us earned that money, so there's no problem."
"Exactly. It's your fault for hiding the savings."
You might have used it freely, but have you checked whose name is on the bank account?
Why would I check that?
The two were stunned by my words, and I couldn't help but chuckle. The mother-in-law and husband checked the bank account's name and looked at me in astonishment.
Why? How?
Exactly as you see.
"Why is the bank account in our family's name?"
I never said it was under my name from the start.
You can't be serious. Did you steal my father's bank account and the password?
The one who stole is you, right? You forcibly broke the drawer where I kept them, didn't you?
Well, we just thought the drawer was locked, so we wondered what was inside.
Is that so? So it's okay to break open a locked drawer? That's the kind of upbringing you've had?
Emily, that's disrespectful to my mother.
You be quiet. Do you know why I had your father's bank documents?
No, I don't.
You took time off work to go on a trip with mother-in-law, didn't you? I heard from your father that she started spending recklessly because of that trip.
Well, that's...
Whenever you took time off, you'd say things like I had a fever or went back to my parents' house. You did as you pleased. One day I got a call from your department manager and spoke to him directly. He was very angry.
Wait, even at my company?
Realizing they were in the wrong, the two exchanged worried glances. But there was no way I was going to let them off so easily. The room was silent until the doorbell rang. Of course I knew who it was. I went to greet the guest at the entrance and led him to the living room. Then, both of them screamed in shock. I had already informed my father-in-law when my mother-in-law was coming.
Why are you here?
That doesn't matter. I've told you countless times not to trouble Emily.
But you...
No buts. Until when will you two be satisfied with bothering others? Dad, listen, she had your bank account and things. How dare you address her that way? It's proof that you don't value your wife. I don't recall raising you to behave this way. Always relying on your mother, even at your age, is embarrassing.
Then shouldn't you value me as well?
I've worked hard all my life, never made you worry about money, let you do what you wanted, and even managed to save a little. That's how I've shown I care. Now on top of that, I have to overlook the bullying of the daughter-in-law?
No, this is...
No matter what they said, they couldn't match the father-in-law, and eventually they both fell silent. Having heard about the bank account from the father-in-law, it felt like the final blow to them.
The bank documents that Emily had, I told her this when I gave it to her. Despite all my warnings, those two continue to bother Emily. So as a replacement, although it's not the best way, please, take this.
You can't be serious.
You two? To go to the lengths of breaking open a lock to steal that important money, and then to purchase a house without permission? I'm so astonished, I can't even speak. Ugh.
After that, the two of them remained silent, and the mother-in-law was taken home by the father-in-law. At that time, I got back the necklace the mother-in-law was wearing. The father-in-law, having witnessed this, seemed to understand something and looked at my mother-in-law with contempt. Back in the living room after they left, I showed my sullen husband the divorce papers as a final warning.
Why are you showing me this now?
Why not now? After all that's been done, did you think I could still remain your wife?
Huh? Aren't you just mad at my mom?
Of course not. I'm upset with you too.
I don't want a divorce.
Fine, shall we go to court? But then everything you and your mother did will be exposed to the public.
Exposed? What do you mean?
The part where you two forcibly opened the lock and stole the money from the bank account. I have it all recorded on a surveillance camera.
Wait, a surveillance camera?
You picked the lock, stole money from someone's deposit, and even went on to buy a house on your own. What kind of upbringing leads to such actions?
Well...
The theft will be exposed, and the costs will be immense. Compensation to me, $200,000 from the bank account under your father's name, and then court fees. Still want to go to court?
You don't have to go that far.
Haven't you learned your lesson yet? Should I call your father again? It seems he finally gave in, and Tom calmly agreed to the divorce. With that, I was finally free, and felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Later on, the father-in-law gave me $200,000 as compensation for the trouble and damages. The two, now in debt for a total of $400,000 to the father-in-law, are reportedly working day and night with relentless effort under his watchful eye. Later, I received an email from Tom asking if we could start over. Of course, I had no intention of doing so, and promptly deleted it. While I'm grateful to the father-in-law for scolding them, I cherish the money I received and enjoy my carefree life. The decrease in stress has also improved my health.